Hello, everybody, and welcome again to our mini lecture for today. Um, we are going to dive into a question that I bet has been in the back of your head, either explicitly or implicitly, ever since we got started with this class. Okay, Dr. Styer, so what? We're going to jump into that question today. So what? That might be your question. If I know my philosophical assumptions, do I really actually care about axiology and ontology and epistemology? God, Dr. Styer. So what if I know how to evaluate ideas or not? Why should I care about that? Like, I've done a fine job so far. Why should I care if I know how to evaluate ideas? So what if I know my own definition of communication? What does that actually matter? So what if I learn communication theories? Like, why exactly should I care? And the thing is, these are actually great questions. If you remember back to when I was talking about my ontological assumptions, right? Especially my values, my axiology, I actually think this is a really vital question. Knowledge just for the sake of knowledge isn't something that I, as a theorist, value. So why would I make you study it? And so I think this is a question that is worth us addressing together today. So we're going to take each of these four questions and we're going to put them together into a broad statement of why exactly should I care. I think there are a couple of big reasons. And let's dive into those reasons because I think specifically there are four things that learning communication theory can help us do that will actually make our lives as communicators and our world as human beings better. First, theories help us answer our questions. We talked about this all the way back at the beginning of the semester, right? Theories can help us answer the questions that we have in our lives. Second, theories can help us ask better questions. Now, this is something that seems a little bit ephemeral until you think about a preschooler. If you've ever spent time with a 4 or a 5-year-old little kid who's preschool age, I want you to think about what they ask. Mommy, why? Mommy, why? Mommy, why? Mommy, why? Mommy, why? Mommy, why? Why? Right? Those are the questions that preschoolers ask ad nauseum until you are nauseous, until you are sick of the question. You will often hear mothers of preschoolers say things along the line, I am changing my name. I don't want to be mommy anymore because mommy, why? Is such a persistent and pervasive question. And the thing is, this doesn't necessarily get your preschoolers the answers that they want, does it? Right? Because once you get exasperated with the question, but mommy, why? You tend to answer because I said so. And that doesn't actually help answer anything. As we get older, we learn to ask better questions. But mom and dad, why, when I have been so responsible and I've done my job and I've done all my chores, can't I borrow the car this weekend? That's a much better question than, but why? Right? Theories can help us ask better questions. Theories can help us find ways to answer questions. Right? Another one of those things about asking questions is that just by asking doesn't mean you necessarily are going to find the answer. Theories can help us find ways to find answers, right? This is our methodologies. Once we establish ourselves within theory, once we understand what camps we belong in and what questions we really want to ask and answer, theories can give us a way to understand our methodologies, our ways of answering questions and actually coming up with questions or answers that are valuable to us and our society. And then finally, theories help us question what questions we were asking in the first place. And this is the heart of critical thinking. I know you've heard that term over and over and over again in college, but it pushes at something that is key to what we do in this class. You have heard me talk in these mini lectures before about metacognition, the process of thinking about our thinking. This is what theories can help us do. They can, like a set of glasses, give us a new vision on the world. like a pair of binoculars, bring something into focus that we didn't understand before, or like a telescope, give us access to something we never even imagined. Theories, that is, can give us the ability to see questions we never asked before and see motives behind the questions that we're asking that were previously hidden from us. And I think this is even better illustrated if we talk in really concrete terms. And so I want to share with you my questions. These are my big questions. As a scholar and as a person and as a teacher, these are the questions that I ask in my life. How do students learn in a way that makes them and the world better? Right? So if you look up in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, that's one of my articles about how to teach public speaking. Especially since most colleges, public speaking is taught in great big huge sections where every single student has to take it. You don't get the small individualization that you get here in public speaking classes at Georgia College. And so I really wanted to figure out how can we make that a better experience for our students. Another one of my big questions is, why do we have discrimination in the world? It seems so silly to me. Why would you discriminate against people? That's not nice. One of my values, you may remember, is kindness, being kind to people in a way that they understand as kind. Well, so discrimination to me just doesn't make sense. But lots of people participate in it, and we've definitely got it in our systems, so why is it there? And so I want to understand the processes that create and allow for discrimination. What makes people be unkind? Right? And I want to define that in as many ways as possible. What does kindness look like? How do we understand kindness and unkindness? How do people interact with one another to transmit kindness or unkindness? What makes people be unkind? Many of you know that I come from a very deep background in the Christian faith. And so one of my big questions in the world is, what does Christianity do to or do in the world? And then finally, how do people make changes in the world when they find something that isn't right? So if you look at these other three articles, the book there in the center is Rhetoric of the Protestant Sermon in America. And that deals with what Christianity does in the world, but also a form of Christianity preaching that facilitates discrimination. I really wanted to understand that. If you look up here, this green article is about a woman named Anne Bradstreet. You may have read some of her poetry in an American literature class at some point in your high school career. But she fought back against discrimination of women, and she sought to make changes by making her world a better place, using Christianity to make change. That brings together two of my really big interests. And then down here, this is my article on Susan B. Anthony. Those of you who have taken classes with me before may know that she is a hero of mine, but also a deeply complicated figure who did not leave an uncomplex legacy behind. And this article addresses a couple of things. It talks about discrimination, it talks about how to make the world a better place, and it talks about change that people can engage in, rhetoric that people can use to make those changes. All of these published articles and books come from my dedication to these big questions. And so now I throw the question over to you. What are your questions? I can't wait to discuss them with you in our class together.